Hello, everybody. Welcome to Torn Tuesday, your weekly dose of all things Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, books, movies, video games, board games, everything. We are live from the secret bunker in Southern California of the OneRing.net archives. As you can see, I've got posters of Tolkien. That's Sting. Look, it's Sting. That is a beautiful sword, isn't it? That is metal. I believe this is master replicas. We've got so many wonderful things that we're discovering in the archives, including, little Gandalf, little gold Gandalf. We're here, and we are going to be bringing in live some of our friends like Mr. Cliff Broadway. Hello, Cliff.
Well, hello there, sir. How are you doing?
I'm very good.
Nice to see you.
How is lockdown in Hollywood?
Gosh, it's really something else entirely. I'll make a 1980s movie reference to Night of the Comet, and I'm sure not everybody will recognize what I'm talking about, but yeah, it's like you walk outside, the streets of Los Angeles are absolutely desolate, like the desolation of Smaug, just completely desolate, and it's really quite surprising.
We got Tamar in the chat room saying tuning in from the UK where they are in lockdown.
I'm totally fine with it. I'm happy that there's a lot less drivers out on the road, and it looks like I have to log in with this restream to be able to see people.
Oh boy.
You're going to have to text me and tell me what the login is for that.
Yes.
Thank you. I have some photos of, I had to go to the store because it's the only thing I'm allowed to leave the house for. I had to go to the store to pick up my medications and, to get a loaf of bread, which didn't exist. So I had to get bagels instead.
Huh.
So I got a couple of photos that I could send you of what Hollywood Boulevard looks like. It's usually crowded with so many people, and now...
I mean, everybody has a pretty good idea of what Hollywood normally looks like. This just looks like a movie, like a Will Smith movie, right?
Actually looks like before Will Smith made a movie like that, there was a movie in the 80s called Night of the Comet, where some mysterious force went by the Earth when a comet went by, and inexplicably, it made every human being on Earth vanish.
Yeah.
Except for a handful of robust white teenagers from Pasadena who had the adventure of their lives, or wherever, stupid. It was such a... But, I mean, it was like literally famous in the 1980s for showing a major metropolitan city completely empty, devoid of traffic, life, cars, nothing but a lonely breeze blowing through the streets of an otherwise busy metropolis. And if you take a look at that movie reference, you'll realize that's where the filmmakers for I Am Legend got that visual motif.
Yes.
The visual motif was even borrowed from that movie with Yul Brynner. I believe it's called The Bicentennial Man, or no, The Omega Man.
Omega
That's
Man.
it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that was a movie with a post-apocalyptic I Am Legend type of thing where there's nobody outside your door except spooky evil zombies, but they're not even there because they're hiding most of the time, and they're trying to surprise you and gut you by surprise. So all the cinematography from these apocalyptic films, including I Am Legend, Night of the Comet, and even going way further back to Omega Man, they're all famous cinematic motifs of what a post-apocalyptic world looks like. And it is so strange that the real world looks just like this imagination that we only know from cinema. but it's real. It's quite
The
real.
filmmakers were good at what they do. They showed it accurately. We got people in the chat room saying that they're going on lockdown over in Texas. Kaylin Griffin, hello, how are you? I see Ellen in the chat room. Sarah Draper, always great to see you. And stay safe, Sarah. You've got a lot of earthquakes happening over there in Utah, on top of everything else that's going on. By the way, we're going to keep doing the show. Everyone's at home. Everyone's on lockdown. Cliff and I are as far apart as possible, which is actually how I prefer it. So, I don't think there's any reason not to keep doing the show. That's right. But Cliff,
is it just me? Is it just me?
It is just you.
Oh gosh,
it's disgusting.
Hello, Arnie, and hello, Sarah, and hello everybody in the chat. I can now see the chat as well.
Yeah,
and I want to say welcome to Torn Tuesday, everyone. And here we are doing what we can do to not go outside and minimize our exposure to other people, because you know what? I really don't know if I have it. I don't know. I mean, that strange little dry cough that I had for like a couple of minutes yesterday, that might be because of the long bottom leaf from the south farthing of the Shire.
Stay away. If you're not sure, stay away.
And I'm staying at home.
This is Sting. You know it well.
I haven't coughed at all since then. But the joke I'm trying to make is, look, I've got a lovely friend of mine. She's 73 years old. She is from London, but now an expatriate who lives in Santa Monica, here in California. And I want to go take some groceries to her and take a care package to her, but I cannot do that. It's the one thing that I most want to do is try to help out my friend, because she's in the high risk group.
And you're toxic. In fact, when I hold this sword up to your webcam, it glows blue. I don't know what that means.
Perhaps that means there are enemies nearby.
Yeah.
Maybe that means your landlord is lurking around outside your door.
Cliff, now since I'm at our secret headquarters where the One Ring archives seem to be, guess what I found? You're going to love this.
Ooh, hey, that's beautiful. That cute little 75th anniversary edition.
It's so small and portable, and this would just mean I could read it anywhere I go, and I just love it. The pocket edition of The Hobbit.
I love having a pocket edition.
And as soon as you open it, there's the map. Look at that. There's the Tolkien map, and it's
that would be properly called Thror's map.
Thror's.
And remember, Thror was Thorin's grandfather. Remember?
Yeah. I picked up a few things because it's weird being in the bunker here. The best version of the movie ever released, the full screen theatrical edition of The Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. This is probably the most different of all of the books, besides the Hobbit trilogy. This is probably the most different from the book. It is full screen, so it's cut off on the sides and the top, and it's edited for theatrical. The best version.
Awful. An experience that you would not wish upon anyone.
Cliff,
if you want, you want to give someone the real experience, this is what you give them. Give them this.
The Blu-ray.
This is the shiny gold box that has all three, and look, right inside.
There's the map.
There's the Middle Earth. And oh, look, right now there's only two DVDs, Blu-rays in here, because actually I have one in my disc player right now, actually.
Perfect.
And in fact,
check this out.
What it is, the Two Towers that I have actively in my Blu-ray.
Look at that. Gandalf the Grey, 1/6 scale by Sideshow Weta. Before they were separate companies doing separate things, Sideshow and Weta partnered up for the first Lord of the Rings collectibles. Look at this beautiful Gandalf. 6 scale figure by Sideshow. And right under that is the very hard to find vinyl edition of the complete recordings of The Two Towers. As you know, Two Towers is my favorite movie. That's why I've got the full screen version and the vinyl records of. It's still in plastic. I haven't even opened it. I don't want to open it. But Cliff,
Nice.
the one thing the thing I really wanted to show you today.
Let me respond to the chatters and saying, yes, Tamara, I am very likely to send a care package through another service, or I might leave a care package for her myself. But yeah, I'm not going to go and visit my friend, although we talk on the phone lots and lots and lots. And I am so glad that we have this alternative, because we can't be together, but we can still be together. All of us, even my relatives and friends from across the globe and across this whole country, we get to use this, this interface on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Periscope and Twitter Live and Instagram. We get to share our Tolkien enthusiasm with everyone out there in the OneRing.net universe, and we still get to obey the stay-at-home order and behave ourselves and reduce any possible transmission to any of our loved ones. And so I just want to say thank you, everyone, just being here right now, because
Hi, Costa Rica.
Like Justin, the fact that you're showing us this grand opening of your treasure vault and all these Tolkien collectibles you have in your stash. I mean, I've never been in a I've never been.
Look
in
at this, Cliff. Look at this.
I've seen your stash. Look at this. This is a very special treat. Look at that.
Look at that. Look at that. Cliff.
For the audience who doesn't know what that is, once upon a time, the OneRing.net hosted a very big series of Oscar parties for all the Oscar nominees and winners.
This is the VIP gift bag. It's seen better shape. This is the VIP gift bag. I kept the bag. I don't know if anyone else had. So check this out. An invitation of special magnificence. Look at this.
That is the original Oscar invite to our party.
This again, Cliff. Remind people that the studio did not pay for this. This was all the courtesy of the fans. Pooling their resources together before Kickstarter, before Patreon, before Indiegogo. We just kind of like in the IRC chat, we're just like, we should do this. And look at that. Look at that. The Two Towers One Party.
The OneRing.net decided to throw this party for the fans to attend, and we invited the filmmakers because they were just a couple of blocks away, because they were Oscar nominees for all 3 films, 3 years in a row. Now, I believe...
Look at that opportune quote.
Say it out loud.
The city must empty by order of the king. We're living that life right now.
Living that right now. The city must empty.
By order of the king. On our invitation.
It's intriguing to all of our friends online who are watching. That was a very, very big Oscar party. We paid for the venue ourselves. We had big support from our sponsors, which included Sideshow, Weta.
Oh my gosh, remember the busts?
Gave away those beautiful busts as part of a series of gift bags that were for the guests.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
It was a big, big success all those years in a row, and I was the master of ceremonies, and we actually had the chance for the Oscar winners to come up on stage and say hello and get,
and this was the Two Towers. This was the Two Towers, not the clean sweep Return of the King. We were doing this for the Two Towers and Sideshow. Gosh, look at this! A certificate of authenticity from Sideshow Collectibles, and look at this: the Fellowship of the Ring, the video game from Vivendi Universal, starring Cliff Broadway as the voice of Samwise Gamgee. Here it is. I have the game. Next week, we're going to play it. I'm going to install it on my laptop, and we're playing your game live.
You're going to need an Xbox simulator, because my voice is in the Xbox version.
Is this Xbox?
I have a copy.
I'll find an Xbox by next week. I will find an Xbox.
Okay. Hey, I've got one here. I've got an Xbox here, and yes, that was me. I'm going to give a big shout out to my high school friend, Debbie. Hi, Debbie. I see you in the chat with all of our friends, Tamar and Scott and Sarah.
Scott is
And
asking, why is
Pipsy.
Two Towers my favorite? Yeah, I don't know if I've ever like done a deep dive on that, and maybe we will on a future episode. But the quick hits is I had not read the books before seeing the movies. Two Towers is the perfect movie for me. You have multiple storylines that are edited so well together. The pacing is just relentless. From the opening shot, when the title faded in and it said The Lord of the Rings, and then you see the mountains, and then it comes down and it goes into the mountain.
Yeah,
And
the opening of the Two Towers is non-compared.
and as someone
Except,
who
how about this? The opening of Return of the King.
we're not talking about Return of the King, we're talking about Two Towers because it's my favorite, and someone asked about it.
I'm actively watching the Return of the King right now. I'm in the opening prologue where we're seeing the transformation from Smeagol to Gollum.
I've never felt like I did at the end of the opening scene of the Two Towers, because I thought, that being a fantasy movie, that it's gonna be a recap, right? Like, welcome back to the theater. Here's a little recap of what happened last movie, and they were gonna start with Gandalf, but then the camera follows Gandalf over the edge, and you see this epic battle, and the music as they fall into the caverns, and my breath was held, and then when it cut, when they fall into the water, Gandalf and the Balrog, and it cuts, and Frodo wakes up, I literally forgot to breathe. And my friend next to me was like, "Are you okay?" And I was just like, I hadn't breathed the entire opening sequence. And from then on, there was a big tweet even yesterday that says, "Name a better battle scene than Helm's Deep in movie history." You can't. So for me, Two Towers is the best film of the trilogy. I know it deviates. I learned later it deviates a lot from the books, but for me, I cried when Samwise gives the speech at the end. When they're at Osgiliath and Samwise just gives an Oscar-winning speech, one of the best soliloquies ever put to film.
Should have been the Oscar-winning speech. And and you notice that when Netflix tweeted about Samwise's monologue, when they got the Two Towers on their streaming service, they got 53,000 or 58,000 likes.
One of their biggest tweets ever.
And it was all about Samwise's monologue at the end of the Two Towers. Even though people still like to complain, like I do, that the hobbits should not have been at Osgiliath at all.
Right.
But there they
were.
And
it's not just that. Like, it's Sam's speech. It's the best opening. It's the best battle ever put to film. It's Sam's speech. The music of the Ents when they go to war, I cried again. Like, the Ents are going to war. I've never heard such heroic music as they start marching toward Isengard. It's when we first kind of are introduced in a formal capacity to the performance of Gollum, which up to that time had been Jar Jar Binks was like the best CG character ever. Gollum set the new standard. Like, everything about that movie changed filmmaking forever. And Two Towers is my favorite. So I kept that back. But Cliff, look at this.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Oh God.
Here it is.
Is that the Return of the King?
The Goody Baggins from the Clean Sweep, the official Oscar party that Harvey Weinstein was so angry that his actors went to our party, not his. This is the official VIP of Goody Baggins.
Even today, I'm happy to break my own broadcast rules and say a very high and hearty fuck you to Mr. Weinstein. Happy to have pissed him off.
So the first thing in the Return of the King Oscar goodie bag was a nice little one sheet of Return of the King with all the characters. You guys remember? Remember that?
special banner image.
And check this out.
Yep.
You remember this illustration?
Yes, I do. Yeah, that is so cool. The fact that we had such excellent
Artwork by Monty Moore. Monty Moore.
such excellent partners in crime when we put together that event.
Oh my gosh! Look at that. We got a hardcover book.
Oh yeah.
In the bag.
You know,
the art.
Let's just say I'll ask my audience to forgive me for being so abrasive, but we just don't want to invoke his name anymore on our show. And it's like, how funny it is that we have come so far and still have such, God, I wish we could take his name off of the movies entirely.
Look at this. A special musical CD tribute. That is a limited edition release for the Return of the One Party in 2004. This is a special CD from Emerald Rose, a band that is no longer together. Emerald Rose put together a special compilation just for the Return of the King Oscar party, and it was joined by ringers, the first teaser postcard.
Gosh. Yes, there it is.
Your movie. Look at this. We've got the Battle for Middle Earth PC CD-ROM game full version given away for free to all attendees of the Return of the King Oscar party. Cliff,
yes.
This game was amazing. The Battle for Middle Earth for PC
sure
was amazing, and we got it for free because we put a party together, and everybody did.
Yeah, absolutely. To have had that kind of involvement from EA Games at that time, boy, that was really awesome. And all of these artists, do you know what? Not only did we have a party, but we had an art gallery. We had an art gallery there as well.
We did.
And Justin is showing some of the wonderful reproductions and some of the smaller prints that were available from some of the artists we had there.
Like Alan Lee. This is Alan Lee, who was at our party, if I recall correctly.
Yes, he was. And Emerald Rose was such a wonderful band, great musicians who have always had this Celtic and Tolkien embrace in their music. This is a great box of memories.
And look at this. Lindsay Archer, another Tolkien artist. Lindsay Archer gave us postcards that with envelopes. So you could use these for birthdays, for gifts, for something. So Alan Lee, the video games, Cliff. What else do we have in the Return of the King? Look at this. Another wonderful poem, original poem included from it's the Pro Literacy organization. So we were all about trying to get more people reading.
We did that. We've been doing that continually for 20 years at thewondering.net.
Yep.
We're a nonprofit. There's no profit at The Wondering. We're just a volunteer website, and if remember that. If there's ever any proceeds that The Wondering makes after covering their server costs, that stuff is donated to the World Literacy Campaign, which has always been our beneficiary.
Cliff, look at the look at the makeup.
Yes, I was just watching that sequence right now.
Look at that.
I was watching that exact sequence right now.
You just showed everyone that. Cliff, I don't this is an amazing little moment in time, but you know what was not included in the goodie bags, but I kept in here because I didn't want to lose it, is the LA Times from the day.
Yep, I saved that. I have a copy of that. That was the calendar section the day after the Return of the King won 11 out of 11 awards.
This is the entertainment section of the LA Times. This is the Oscar thing. Check this out. Front page, right? Front page. Let's look at that. Parting with the Fellowship of the Fans. 1,500 fans of the Lord of the Rings, ringers as they call themselves, swept down
That's
Highland
true.
Boulevard.
Yep.
The power of fandom. The ringers did this. They put this together. They made this party happen by force of will, and there's
They did.
that's
And however, there was a synergy happening at that time, which is not happening now, but it was happening at that time in a way that was unbelievable. And I mean synergy between a community of outspoken fans and a lot of companies that were very, very excited about getting their stuff out the door and having us. They were terrified of us and they wanted to embrace us at the same time. Everybody who had a product that was coming out, it was all like how carefully they could. Well, there you go. Is that the playing cards? Is that the tin?
oh my gosh! You remember? You remember?
Yes, that's the tin of playing
You
cards.
remember
Man.
what the tin is, guys? Look at this, dude. There's so much good stuff. Let's look at these playing cards, Cliff.
That's the Lord of the Rings deck of cards. I have an illustrated deck. See, no, those are not the ones.
No, these are not the ones that we had at the party.
Okay, I'm going to walk everybody through my house. Okay, that's unusual to have that Ace of Spades.
Ace of Rings. Ace of Rings. But it says Lord of the Rings on every card. Look at that. It says Lord of the Rings on every card. Cliff.
Hold on. Let me get my deck of cards out of my junk drawer. They got to be in here. Are you kidding me? They've got to be in here. I've got the cards that have everybody's Alan Lee drawings.
Yes.
Like they're such beautiful cards. They're different from the ones that came in that set.
Right. It was a brown package, if I recall correctly. But Cliff.
Yeah, that's the one.
While you're looking for that, Cliff. I just wanted to show off the Oscar packages because the Lord of the Rings fans are a different class of fan. They're a different breed. We get together. We put together. There's RingCon and HobbitCon, and we've had our own conventions. One Ring Celebration. We get together for Bilbo's birthday every year in the park. There's a Tolkien Reading Day, which is tomorrow. There's
we have to talk about Tolkien.
Yeah,
Reading
there's
Day.
Tolkien's birthday, which is celebrated in January. Like, this community put together the best Oscar party in Hollywood, according to the LA Times, and it was just a bunch of fans. And I don't know that.
Oh, but it was a world-class party, my brother. It was such an event.
It was an event, and
you have no idea.
and if there's one thing that we want Amazon to recognize with their Amazon TV show, with their Lord of the Rings TV show, is that we're not bitter Star Wars fans. We're not, Eclipse fans. The Stan accounts and stuff like that. We're like,
we are ringers, Lord of the fans.
We are ringers, and we don't need to be involved in the production, but there needs to be a dialogue, and these parties would not have happened without the support of Warner Brothers. Without the support of Sideshow, your movie, right there, Ringers, Lord of the Fans in the background, wouldn't have happened if you didn't have access to the press interviews. You got a lot of great content interviewing the actors of the movie through the studio relationship.
Exactly. Now, you said it first. We don't need to be part of the production, but the production needs to be part of our community.
Yes, that's a great way of putting it.
Why don't we tweet that right now?
You can go ahead.
I'm going to go ahead and say, on tonight's show, the big takeaway was we, the very inquisitive fans, the overeager ringers community, we don't need to be part of the production. But the production needs to be part of our community.
And right now,
otherwise,
we don't
You're real. Otherwise, they're really missing the point of it all.
Right, and like we've done amazing things as fans. Again, Warner Brothers did not put together our Oscar parties. The ringers, the fans did, and I'm just I'm just excited. So speaking of Amazon, we've got the latest news on the TV show. So as of last week, Amazon flew everybody home, which means
Which means people needed to get home before there was, structurally speaking, an international travel lockdown where they would no longer be able to get home to be with their loved
that's right.
ones. As a matter of fact, Bruce Hopkins, who plays in your favorite film, The Two Towers, he plays Gamling, right-hand man to Theoden of Rohan. And Bruce Hopkins just had his son come home, and they have to be quarantined together, so he's going to change his scheduling, and he will not be available for Tolkien Reading Day tomorrow, because this stay-at-home stuff is real. So no wonder Amazon had to send all the actors home,
Well,
because they have to stay at home.
Originally, Amazon paused production. Everybody went back to their condos and apartments and stuff like that they're staying in. But when it became apparent that this thing was increasing, they put everybody on the next flight home. So Bayona's back at home. A lot of the actors are back here in the UK or in LA. And importantly, Amazon has not scheduled a resume date of Lord of the Rings. So right now, the show is officially on hiatus with no date to return. And as of this weekend, New Zealand is officially on lockdown. Nobody allowed in the country, and I believe nobody allowed out of the country. But most importantly, nobody's allowed back in. And this may last. This may last 2 weeks. This may last a month. This may last 6 weeks, based on the results of the health screenings and stuff like that. So basically, we know for sure that the show's on hiatus. And according to a tweet, I believe it was this morning, the lead writer of Lord of the Rings, Jennifer Hutchinson, was actually booked on a plane, scheduled to fly to New Zealand to join the production and be a writer on the set. And this is after we had talked about this. It's like, why don't they have the writer on the set during production? Well, Amazon had booked the flight and she was ready to go, and they just canceled it. So they flew everybody back. The actors are all at home with their families, hopefully staying safe. We know that airplanes were the most dangerous place to be in over the last month, over the last 4 weeks. The most toxic place to be in was an airplane. So I hope everyone in the cast is safe. I hope if they contracted this, they get through it. The cast looks like a young and healthy group that can do a lot of physical action. So I'm pretty sure that we're going to go. But let's keep everybody in our thoughts as the Lord of the Rings. So does this mean that the writers' room will reconvene in April? Probably not. According to Los Angeles, this entire city where they wrote Lord of the Rings is still on lockdown and will be on lockdown through April. So the writers, everything's delayed. They haven't finished filming the pilot. The writers' room will be delayed. So we can expect that this TV show, Amazon's Lord of the Rings, will be delayed until at least the winter of 2021. And we might be even looking at 2022 now. Because as we've discussed before, they were shooting the pilot to make sure that everything felt right and looked right and seemed right. So this isn't, they're not even shooting the series yet. This was just the pilot. Everything's now pushed back. Season 2 scripts have been pushed back. So basically, I think we have another at least 2 years until we get Lord of the Rings now.
To recap, Season 1 completely written and already under the nose of the directors and the actors, ready to film all of Season 1, right? But they only executed production on maybe, there's some difference in the reporting,
1 or 2 episodes.
maybe 2 episodes, but with limited time to finish, we can't assume that they finished 1 or 2 episodes because of the health shutdown and the orders to shut down their production early. We don't know how far along that branch of completion they got, but we know that what's in the world of completed materials for the new show. That would be all the scripts, maybe 10 episodes for season 1, all those scripts, and maybe one of them filmed. And that's it. And that's all we know. But we still don't know that any of that stuff is going to go further now to post-production, because I think even the post-production people are not able to go to their offices, are they?
Nobody can go to their offices, but fortunately a lot of post-production, editing, sound mixing, and even visual effects, a lot of it can be done at home because a lot of these really qualified people have home computers and Macs and setups to do this. So the expectation on my part right now is that they've taken all of the footage that they've shot already. They're going to hand it off to a couple editors right now. And so now that everyone's sequestered at home for a month or two, the editors are just going to work their best work, and we're going to have probably the best edit possible of what's been shot of Lord of the Rings. And from there, the studio, the executives, the director, and the showrunners can all review the best edit possible and determine whether this cast looks right, feels right, the words sound right, the names, the languages. So basically, it took J.R.R. Tolkien a long time to write Lord of the Rings from when he published The Hobbit, and because he wanted to get it right. And this could be the best thing for us as fans and this TV show. This has forced Amazon and the producers to take their time with this show. So it's not doom and gloom. All the actors are back home safe, the showrunner is back home safe, and now they have time to kind of play with the edit, play with the scripts. You know, writers write at home on their laptops. You know, they can have script conferences via Zoom and Skype, just like we're doing. So this could only mean that more work, more time, better quality. I'm excited. I'm really excited about this show. Now, Cliff.
Oh, really? Well, okay. It's nice that you're taking all of this as a good sign. I don't know yet whether any sign can be taken as a good sign or a bad sign. I've just been, up to now, just wondering, how much we're going to learn that is really useful, and what this looks like compared to what we know from the past, which is all, like, relatively speaking, film production is what we know from the past. And
TV production is a little different.
A little different, maybe in some ways. There's your understatement for today, Justin, my friend. I have been troubled by hearing news of the involvement of Tom Shippey, and then later on we hear that he's not involved.
Well, here's what we know for fact. They've been shooting Lord of the Rings, the best that they can for the last 6 weeks in New Zealand, in Auckland. Tom Shippey has not been there. The writers have not been there. And John Howe has not been there. And remember, Cliff, on Lord of the Rings, John Howe was on set almost every day, sketching his heart out.
Yes,
he
was
was sketching the sets because he was so inspired. He was doing creative work for future scenes, based on what was being filmed and lit right there. So it's a big red flag to know that there were no writers, there was no Tom Shippey, and there was no John Howe on set for filming this. So where are they?
Yeah, it makes you wonder. Doesn't it?
Makes you wonder. But, Cliff, we do have some good news. This is interesting. One of the biggest questions right now since they announced this show
Uh-huh.
is, will Amazon's series live in the world of Peter Jackson? Is it from the same cinematic universe? I shouldn't be coughing because that's terrifying for people. I'm only coughing because I'm talking a lot.
Maybe you're only coughing right into your hand, like you just did, coughing right into your hand.
Yeah, don't touch my laptop or my computer. But Cliff,
Because I mean, you're going to have to put on a biohazard suit now. You just coughed right into your hand, my friend.
Yeah, I'm not going to get you sick. But Cliff,
that's why I'm glad I'm not even in the bar. The cantina, unfortunately, is closed. So here we are, coughing across the distance. Where are you, sir? Are you up in the desert plateau? Because I'm over in Hollywood.
My mind right now is in Middle Earth. And Cliff, if you look at this map,
and you're trying to establish this, tether between the existing 6 films and the possibility that Amazon is going to do something set within the same Peter Jackson.
We were starting to look at the maps. Okay, as you know, Tolkien was a cartographer. He drew the maps. His son Christopher drew a lot of the maps that are now published in the book. And the first thing that Amazon gave us was this map. This is the Amazon map of Middle Earth. It's interesting because it looks just like Peter Jackson's map. If you look side by side, Mordor, just the way it's sketched, it feels like Peter Jackson's world. So the big question is this TV show going to be in the legendarium of Peter Jackson, or are they taking a wholly new approach that will have nothing to do? So if we look at Christopher Tolkien's map, this is from the hand of Christopher Tolkien, correct?
Yes, it is. And his initials are there on the map in the title box, right there, above the scale of miles. See? See his initials right there in the bottom left?
Really? Oh, yeah, right there. Okay. So this map is Christopher Tolkien. This map...
Yes, it is.
This map is Amazon. Why did Christopher Tolkien not draw anything east of Mordor?
Ah, yeah, those famous mountains of the east. The ones that caused such a stir, such a conversation when that map was first released.
Now, if you look at the Iron Hills at the top right of Christopher Tolkien's map, this is basically canon right now, right? Like Christopher Tolkien's map is the definitive map. The Iron Hills, look at that. Now, if you look at Amazon's map, there's more hills.
Yeah, many more mountains. Do you know where those come from?
Where?
You can see them in the Atlas of Middle Earth by Karen Wynne Fonsted.
Okay. So
and the question is, where did she get them from?
Where did she get them from? Let's look at, this is the newly published annotated map that was part of the Tolkien exhibition that was at Oxford and was recently, I believe, in Spain, and was in New York late last year. Cliff,
yeah,
this is the annotated map. That was a combination of Christopher Tolkien and his father, making notes on the map. And then, again, This is Amazon's map. So why are there so many mountains here to the east?
Those mountains are called the Orocarni.
Why are they not in any map drawn by a Tolkien?
Actually, the Orocarni are mentioned by Tolkien. They're also called the Red Mountains. and they were made by the Valar. They are mentioned by Tolkien in the Silmarillion,
Okay.
and those might be the Orocarni. Uh, those might be different. They might be the mountains of Rune, but I believe that those are the Orocarni.
And so if we look at these three maps, we've got Peter Jackson's official map on the top left. We've got Amazon's official map, the bottom left. And then we've got Christopher Tolkien's official canonized map. This Amazon show looks more closely to Peter Jackson's world than anything else.
Tolkien's early works in the Book of Lost Tales, Part 1, mention a great inland sea and a mountain range called the Wall of the Sun. But those were probably an early construct in his mythological universe that he later changed, as we know is the case in much of his work. But it is clear that the lands to the east were inhabited by numerous men. The Wayne Riders are an example. There are 4 clans of dwarves written of that were to have lived in the Red Mountains, and there at least had been tribes of Avari, which are those elves that never ever made the journey ever to go and see the light of the 2 trees. So there's a lot of supporting material. It is not the case that Tolkien drew these mountains, but the case is that he mentioned them. He mentioned them in his writings and his redraftings more often than he drew them. But they caused a lot of uproar with fans because it's the first time they've been so strongly visualized as mountains to the east of the lands of Rune.
Was there, when you say that, was that concern expressed when the Lord of the Rings came out in 2001? Like when did the fans react?
No, the fans reacted just when Amazon started their, Instagram and their Twitter profiles and launched that map. That's the only time it was really up for, such contentious discussion.
Yes.
Was most recently. And keep in mind that the word R-H-U-N, Hrun, it's not even a proper name. It's just the Sindarin word, the Elvish word for east.
Okay. So it's just east.
Okay.
But is the show even taking place in the east?
We don't know, but it's on the map, which suggests they might open up the show to lands that far that have never been shown that far before.
Because the island of Numenor is to the west of everything, right? So, do you think there could be multiple storylines going on at in different parts of Middle Earth? And does that make sense to what we know about the Second Age?
Okay, listen to this. Something is known of its ancient geography from the Silmarillion, okay? So the only geography we know about the lands that far east is all that stuff that happened when the world of Arda was flat, before it was made round. I mean, we're talking way back, in the lost ancient times, before the elves first appeared as the firstborn children of Iluvatar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what little we know about the geography of that place.
The interesting thing is, if you notice the Amazon map here, if you look at the top left corner, there's a little island called Tol Fam. And if you look at Tolkien's map, it doesn't look like there's an island up there.
Oh, you mean that island that's off to the northwestern
And it
coast?
says Tol Hunling and Tol Fam, or Tol Foin, and there's no islands up to the left. of that.
Oh yeah, those islands are definitely there, but they probably got different names over time.
And
Hold on a
and
second.
this is
Let me
Christopher Tolkien's map, and it says Hemling. Again, there's only one island.
Tall Fuin, Tall Fuin, which is Sindarin for Dark Isle.
Oh my gosh! So this might be the
Was
important island.
was It was the name of one of the few areas of land that escaped the drowning of Beleriand during the War of
Huh.
Wrath. It was originally a part of the land of Tower Nu Thuin when the world was changed. The highest reaches of that area survived as a couple of these Western Isles. Though Tall Fuin is not depicted in any of Tolkien's currently published literature, it has been shown in other media, including the map for the Middle-earth role-playing game, and that's also probably where Amazon picked it up for their map.
And we know that John Howe drew this, right?
I believe John Howe. I believe he was credited as working on some
I
of
mean,
this.
John Howe drew the Peter Jackson map, correct? I believe that he did.
No, I thought that the Peter Jackson New Line Cinema map was all done by um, the guy who did the
Oh, that's
calligraphy.
right.
What was his name?
That
What, what was the guy who did the calligraphy? What was his name?
I'm blanking, but that's a valuable point. Um,
Hold on, I've got his name. I'm pulling it
okay.
up. Reeve? Yeah, it's Daniel Reeve. Oh, look, I'm at the part in the Return of the King where Arwen has convinced her father to reforge the Sword of
The
Narsil.
Sword of Narsil.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. Oh, and how about that? And look, there's Pippin and Gandalf riding on Shadowfax across the wilderness of Rohan to try to get to Minas Tirith.
the again, I still like the Two Towers just has better scenery. I feel like in Return of the King, there's too much obvious CGI going on. Like you know that's a CGI horse, you know, and the light of Gandalf's staff is blowing away the Nazgul. I don't know. There's something more tangible and more real about the Two Towers for me than Return of the King.
Perhaps, but for a lot of people, I just watched the Two Towers. I just watched The Return of the King, and now I found myself putting it back in again to play the audio commentaries because I'm getting a whole extra level of insight listening to the commentary tracks that are available, and it allows you to watch the movies over and over and over again with fresh perspective and new information,
Yes.
which is kind of cool. All right, so let's talk about Tolkien Reading Day, which happens worldwide tomorrow. And our friends at Tolkien Guide have put together a world-class panel of people who are going to participate in a big online gathering on Discord tomorrow on Tolkien Reading Day. And we're going to post a little something about it on our Facebook group.
So
I'm going to be participating too.
It's always March 25th every year.
Always, yeah, it's always March 25th, and usually for us, it has coincided with WonderCon weekend.
That's right.
In Anaheim.
So hashtag we want to get this trending worldwide. We think everybody needs to read Tolkien right now. We think everybody's nerves.
You're at home. You should be reading your Tolkien anyways because you're at home.
But tomorrow is the day we get it trending. Look, if all these club quarantines can trend over the weekend, we can get Tolkien Reading Day trending. Now look at this list of people. We've got PhD doctors. We've got Jed Brophy has signed up. Stephen Hunter, Bomber himself. Marcel Aubron Bruet. Oh man, I've butchered his name. Clifford Broadway is going to read The Houses of Healing. Bruce Hopkins is in there. Dr. Dimitra Femi. We've got the Prancing Pony podcast. Ted Naismith, amazing artist Ted Naismith is going to be on at 3:30 p.m. Dr. Luke Shelton, John Garth. legend. I mean, these are gentlemen and gentlewomen and gentle hobbits and scholars. This
And scholars, for
this
sure.
is
Oh,
a
yeah.
full day of Tolkien reading. People will be able to watch on YouTube or join the Discord to listen.
From around the world. From around the world over a 24-hour period. You know what? I interviewed Brian Sibley, who's, an esteemed Tolkien author and expert, and we interviewed him as a specialist in our documentary, Ringers, Lord of the Fans, and now I'm sharing a wonderful block of time reading with him.
Yes,
And
he is the third one up deck. Choose the closest time zone. We're in Pacific. So, it changed it. If you go to this website, TolkienGuide.com, you can change to your time zone. And you can see that it starts, actually, Brian Sibley will be on at 3 a.m. our time, Cliff.
That's right. Yeah. Hey, you know what? I'm always up really, really late because it's an early morning for my friends in London and Wales. And, I got lots of friends in the UK, and I'm always trying to talk to them at all hours of the day. And because I'm something of a night owl myself, it is not unusual for me to stay up after closing time. For me, that's
Cliff,
normal.
who
I
is
am
this?
very, very excited about this.
Who is this guy at 6 a.m., John Garth? Where does that name sound familiar?
Oh, wait, hold on. Don't you know who John Garth is?
The name sounds familiar. As with all of them, Mark Atkin is on at 4:30.
He's the author of Tolkien and the Great War.
Yes, that's the book.
Which is, for all intents and purposes, the greater part of what the Tolkien movie is with Nicholas Hoult and Lily Collins. It's based on Tolkien and the Great War. And John Garth is a very, very esteemed Tolkien historian and author. He's great.
He is wonderful. And Cliff,
he's winner of the Mythopoeic Award. That book, man, he's one of the best. We've got Brian Sibley. We've got John Garth. I can't believe we've got Naismith himself. And I am humbled as the creator and filmmaker and writer of Ringers, Lord of the Fans, and 20-year author and writer for theonering.net, and sometimes a show host. I'm so glad to be part of this Tolkien reading day with these esteemed people.
TolkienGuide.com. The chat room is sharing it. Thank you, folks on Facebook and everybody. Tolkien Guide,
right.
GUIDE.com.
Wonderful folks at TolkienGuide.com have put all of this together, and it would be unfortunate if the quarantine situation would prevent Bruce Hopkins from joining us, but it's just exciting that he was there for us, and maybe we can get Sean Astin as an emergency fill-in to take Gambling's place.
You should email him immediately. And look at this, closing out.
We've called out to him on Twitter already, like live. Hey, Sean, we love you,
look,
buddy.
Jed Brophy.
We love you, Bruce Hopkins. We love you, Bruce Hopkins.
And Jed Brophy and Stephen Hunter, the actors.
And Jed Brophy and Stephen Hunter are the actors joining us. Isn't it nuts?
This is so good.
It's super, super important for people to stop or slow down the spread of this mischievous COVID-19. So while I'm staying hunkered down, you can join me, and I will be doing a reading. Because people resonated so much with it last week, I'm going to read that chapter where Aragorn brings the skills of a healer, and he is recognized as the king of Gondor for not the reason of being a great general, not for killing any enemies, not for killing any giant trolls like in the movie. You know what Aragorn gets acknowledged for and actually earns him the respect is that he heals the people in their time of the black breath of the Nazgul, and he is a healer. And what do we need right now? We need healing. And so we're going to read the Houses of Healing during Tolkien Reading Day live as a worldwide event tomorrow. Very exciting. Very exciting.
And Cliff, that event's tomorrow. Use the hashtag Let's Get It Trending all day. Start in the morning. Start at 2 a.m. Start at 3 a.m. Like, I want to wake up here in LA with Tolkien Reading Day trending. But Cliff, the publisher wanted to remind us that there's so much Tolkien to read.
We must name them. They are Houghton, Mifflin and Company, at least here in the United States. I believe in the UK it is Harper Collins Publishers. Yes. Originally it was Unwin. It was Rainer Unwin who was the original publisher.
Cliff, can you see this list of books?
Yeah, isn't it fantastic?
Look how deep the Tolkien archive goes. These are all books that you can purchase right now. A lot of them digitally on iBooks and Amazon Books. A lot of them have audio versions. But Cliff, Lord of the Rings is just the start. Look at this. We've got the Hobbit Illustrated Edition. Yeah. But as soon as we go down,
look, and there's the posthumously published Beren and Luthien right there, top row, and on the top row left side, the posthumously released Fall of Gondolin. Incredible stuff. And my personal favorite, J.R.R. Tolkien. There he is. Is that his biography right there? Yeah, that's the Humphrey Carpenter biography right there. Oh, and right next to it, it says the Atlas of Middle-earth. If you guys want to learn more about those mysterious mountains in the east of Rhûn, and whether there's any theoretical support to the idea that Amazon is using material from Peter Jackson's Middle-earth, I've got a feeling that they're delving deep into the Book of Lost Tales and to the Silmarillion to license some locations that we've never seen ever on film before, which is an exciting idea. But you guys want to check out one of the best supporting books you'll ever read. It's Karen Wynne Fonstad, The Atlas of Middle-earth. You must get yourselves a copy. Absolutely. Oh, and look there, the letters of J.R.R. Tolkien right next to the Father Christmas letters. Brilliant stuff. Fantastic.
Look at this.
Unfinished Tales. That stuff is really good. And there's Roverandom. You think that all there is Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, but there's so much.
Was Unfinished Tales published before the Silmarillion?
The Unfinished Tales were published well after the Silmarillion. They were additional things that Christopher Tolkien never managed to get inside the volume of the Silmarillion.
The rumors that we have heard so far is that if any of these books you want to know what they're drawing from for Amazon's Lord of the Rings series, it is Unfinished Tales. The rumors are the Tolkien estate has opened up the Unfinished Tales to tell this story.
I would love it.
Not the Silmarillion, because it's called The Unfinished Tales of Numenor. And the first map that Amazon released features Numenor. So the one book that is possibly the Bible that they're drawing from for this television series is The Unfinished Tales. That's the book you need to start reading right now.
I would support that statement with the Silmarillion as well. You're not going to get as much mileage out of Unfinished Tales unless you've got that book side by side with it. The Silmarillion and Unfinished Tales are, I agree, absolutely de rigueur.
So
absolutely.
And then of course we have the History of Middle Earth, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and the box set. Cliff.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This is just the official, authored by J.R.R. Tolkien. These are. This does not include all the unofficial books that, just like you have published, the People's Guide to J.R.R. Tolkien. There is so much scholarship around Tolkien that has been published. Some of the best. What we did not see in that list was John Garth's book. We have, there's so much to draw from. So if you want to pick up a new book or revisit Middle Earth and prepare for what Amazon's doing, Unfinished
How
Tales
about
and Silmarillion.
and how about
There
this
you
one?
go. People's Guide to J.R.R. Tolkien.
This, you can also find this on Amazon, probably used, maybe new, but this was a collection of all of the articles from the experts at theonering.net over the past 20 years, including the magazine section we had. It was an online magazine called Green Books. In honor of the Red Book, we had our own Green
That's
Books.
right.
And that was a very, very popular section of the website.
Why was it
that
called Green
included
Books? I've never understood that.
Because it was the appropriate color, and Tolkien already had the Red Book, and we thought that Green Books would be an appropriate Tolkien. We wanted an online magazine, and that is what we made. We created an online magazine for all the Tolkien fans. It includes analysis and really in-depth scholarly articles and interviews with people in the firmament of Tolkien publishing, including my interview with Karen Wynne Fonstad, the creator of the Atlas of Middle-earth, because there was another edition. By the way, there's two versions, and there's more. Like when Samwise says, look, there's more lembas bread. So this is more People's Guide to J.R.R. Tolkien, and you'll see our movie reviews of the original film trilogy, and you'll see our interviews with Tolkien people and artists and historians and academics, and a lot of our own academic stuff in those books. But yeah, definitely get John Garth's book, but it is still considered all the fashion. It is de rigueur to have the Silmarillion and Unfinished Tales under your belt if you're going to have an understanding of what they're doing in this Amazon series. But don't forget reading the appendices, especially Appendix A and B in the back of Return of the King. That's also where we're going to be with this Amazon series. So if you guys want to keep up with everything,
but you've got
Unfinished Tales and Silmarillion and the appendices in the back of Return of the King. You got to read those.
Just to recap what we learned this week, the the Lord of the Rings show is officially on hiatus. I said it 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now it's official for different reasons. No one's working. So the actors have been sent home. They don't have a rescheduled date. The country of New Zealand is in lockdown. We just heard from Weta Workshop this morning that the workshop is closed. No toys will be shipped. No collectibles will be put in the post. No design work will be done for movies. The workshop is officially closed. New Zealand is on lockdown. Los Angeles is on lockdown. Cliff is on lockdown in the middle of Hollywood. And so everybody stay safe. Stay away from each other. Stay home. Seriously, if you stay home until the end of April, we'll get through this. The more you stay home, the quicker Lord of the Rings gets back into production.
Exactly. And the more you can enjoy your extended editions of your Blu-ray extended editions with all of Michael Pellerin's outstanding video appendices about the production of the Lord of the Rings films and the Hobbit films.
Is Weta involved in the show? Currently, they have not announced that Weta is involved in the show. And let's take that a little bit further. Tom Shippey, and Brian Sibley. Tom Shippey is not currently involved in the show. John Howe is not currently involved in the show. And the writers were not on set for the show. And what we just heard, confirmed by the lead writer of Lord of the Rings today on Twitter, she confirmed that she was on her first flight to New Zealand, scheduled for today, but it got canceled. So it's quite weird that they would already be 6 weeks into filming the show and not have the writer on set making script changes as things happen. Cliff, you've been on many production sets, even on Lord of the Rings. Watching those commentaries, the actors will tell you that they kept getting script pages every day. during production.
Yes, they did.
Right?
Yes, they did. Yeah, they did.
So, like, if Peter Jackson, Fran Walsh, Philippa Boyens can win an Oscar for their scripts and rewriting them on set, you would think that the Lord of the Rings Amazon show would have writers on set doing the same thing. So they were making adjustments. Amazon was hearing us. They were making adjustments. They were putting their writers on the next plane over. So now that it's all on hiatus, there's no scheduled date back. I have a feeling that New Zealand's going to be on lockdown for another month, which means production won't continue until the summer at minimum. All I want is the show to premiere in December 2021, which would be a wonderful 20th anniversary celebration of December 2001.
You pushed it back. You really wanted to see a pilot in December of 2020.
We're not going to get that. We're not going to get anything this year.
No, unfortunately, much of the entertainment business is going to have to be reconsidered because of this economic shutdown. So we've got to figure things out from a whole different perspective at some point.
Cliff, it's been wonderful looking at the past Oscar goodie bags that we had, and I'm just marveled at, you know, the invitations were so quality. Look at the companies that supported the fans. You know, it's like, I don't know. We're just more motivated. Ringers are more motivated to make a community out of this. And I tell you, if Amazon wanted to surprise us, they would have Tolkien reading day tomorrow with each actor of the show reading their favorite chapter of Tolkien.
I love
Amazon,
that.
if you're still watching right now, please call all of your actors, get the showrunners, just do what they're doing right now with us, and give us a bunch of Twitter videos of our Lord of the Rings actors, showrunners, writers, and directors reading their favorite chapters of Tolkien for hashtag Tolkien Reading Day. Amazon, that would endear you and endear the entire production crew to everybody.
Yeah. That's not a half bad idea.
So please, let's tag Lord of the Rings on Prime on all of our tweets. Encourage them to get their act together. We know everybody's home, just like we are. So turn on that webcam tomorrow. Hashtag Tolkien Reading Day. Post a picture everywhere you can with the hashtag, because I want Tolkien to be the biggest thing tomorrow.
That would be a great trend, because everyone's going to be at home, and if Tolkien Reading Day becomes a super good trend, that would be so awesome. Actually, that would be really cool, because it's not about Peter Jackson's movies or Ralph Bakshi's or more. It's not about Amazon. It's not about Dome Korkowski at any point. It's about doing what we do best. Readers reading Tolkien.
Cliff, I have a surprise for the end of the show. For our loyal viewers that have our phone numbers saved on your phones, if you have the Torn Hotline phone number, where I'm not going to tell it to you right now, if you know the hotline phone number, text me your address, and I will send you an official Tolkien movie poster for free. I'm going to send it to you. Everyone right now on lockdown, the best feeling in the world is to receive a package. The mail system is still working. So I've got a bunch of Tolkien posters. I want to send them to you. So text me on the hotline.
Nice.
Text me your address, your name and address. I will send you until I run out. First come, first serve. So don't share it in the chat room either. You know, you have to know this, you have to know how to find it. I will send you a Tolkien poster. By the way, this movie is currently on HBO Go, HBO streaming, HBO Now. Watch it. Now that you're looking for something to watch, this movie is great. It's just great. And you will fall in love with the performances and it'll give you a deeper appreciation of the author that we all love. So there you go.
Oh, came in. One just came in.
All right, I'm gonna be. I'll send these posters out. I swear. So, Cliff.
Hey, dude, that's a nice thing to say. And again, thank you everybody for joining us online and being part of our community here at theonering.net, where our enthusiasm for Tolkien never ends. And of course, it's going to be a big, big day. And Tolkien Reading Day is going to start, I think, at
2 a.m. It starts at 2 a.m. Our time, Los Angeles time.
Los Angeles time, but that in Greenwich Mean Time, I'm not sure what that is, but how cool is that? Thank you, and we'll see you guys on Discord tomorrow. If you're looking for me on Discord, I'm Quick Beam. That's it, Quick Beam. If you want to get the invitation on where the group is for the big one we're doing with all the guests, then go to TolkienGuide.com.
TolkienGuide.com. Join in, read the book, watch the live stream. TolkienGuide.com is the central source for Tolkien Reading Day. I'm so excited that this community is coming together. Cliff, we'll say
goodnight while the beacons of Gondor are being lit. That's how we should say goodnight.
All right.
Beacons of Gondor are being lit.
Oh my gosh, I can hear the music in my head right now. But we can't, we shouldn't hear it on the stream because, copyright.
So, anyways, I was just going to say to everyone, follow us on the One Ring Net at Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and everywhere else. And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at QuickBeam2000. And Justin, thank you for co-hosting.
I see Pete. I see Vicky. I see Kay. Wonderful. Great. Remember, give me your name and your address, and I will send you some Tolkien posters because it's just a good movie, and it's our favorite author, and tomorrow is Tolkien Reading Day. Cliff, until next week, I hope I never have to smell you again. We will do this again just like we are now.
Hey, you guys are wonderful. Thank you for being with us again. Until next week, buenas noches y buena suerte.